In this video, let's talk about the hook called useRef. So useRef is again like any other hook in React hooks. It's a function, and we use reference basically in a given component. If you want to retain some value as long as the component is alive, and if you would like to update that value or mess up with that values without worrying about that anytime update happens to that value, it would not render the component. So if you just talk about state, right, if you we can store values in state in a given component, but if anytime if you update the state value, then it's going to render the component every time you update the value. So we cannot really use that context. But if you have a scenario where you still want to update the variable or some value, but you don't want the component to re-render every time you change that value, right? So in that context, we use useRef. So basically you can also use that to refer to any DOM element, and based on some actions or events, if you want to mutate the state of that DOM element, you could use useRef. So let's really quickly look into that, what it looks like using useRef or one of the scenarios, and then you can build on top of that, right? So let's import useRef. Let's go ahead and put that logic here. So let's say you're creating ref variable using useRef, and it's imported, and initially it can take some value. For example, you can call React, right? So ref, it's create. So what happens here in this line, it's going to create mutable object with the value current as a key, and the value would be React, right? So let's see what it's going to print here, right? The ref value is ref dot current, right? So it's going to store the current value in the current variable, right? Let's revise that and open the network tab. See, the ref value is React. So anytime you are decrementing or incrementing, the value is always React, right? And if you change the value also, it would not re-render, right? For example, I mean, just this example, like if you want to change this value, it would not update, okay, or it would not re-render the component. But the concept you like to understand here is that it is a mutable object, and that object has a key called current, and the current always points to your initial value, and then you can change this current to something else, okay? So in this case we provided React, so that's why I store React. Let's pass it as a null, and let's see how we can use ref to access any DOM element. For example, you can use this ref. In our case, we're incrementing, decrementing, right? Let's say we can use this ref on the decrement button, right? We can mention something like this, and what happens is the ref, it's going to hold the current key pointing to this DOM element. So that's what happens when React renders this component. That's what happens to the ref object. Let's verify that. So console.log, the current value is ref.current. So with this logic, it should point to the DOM element, right? Let's do that, and see, when we click on increment, it's going to render this, and then it's pointing to decrement button, right? So that's what it is pointing the value to. So now since we have access to the DOM element, could we use that opportunity to do something with that element if you have a scenario, right? So in our case, in our simple app, let's take the use case of we're incrementing here, and as we decrementing the value, if it goes below 0, then we want to update the decrement button color to red, right? Let's just take a simple use case. So what we can do is let's put the condition here. We have the counter value in the state component state. If state.counter less than 0, then what we want to do is using ref current DOM element, which is on the decrement button, and then we want to change that style dot background color to red, right? Else see, it's already changed because the value is less than 0. Else we would like to keep it green. That's cool. So so let's increment this value, see if it's going to change to green, right? See, so that is a simple use case of ref. This is one of the use cases. You can refer to DOM elements, or if you can just store the value throughout the life of the component, and you can use that without affecting the component re-rendering on every update, right? So in a nutshell, useRef will give you mutable object which looks like this, current, and then it will have value. So this value could be DOM element, this value could be initial value, etc. But you could get a question that why don't we create our own object by just creating a variable with creating a variable like this, and you can create our own object, right? We could do that, but the difference is useRef will give us the same object. It doesn't create new object every time. It's the same reference mutable object, and then the same value could be reused, right? By default it doesn't re-render the component on updating the value, etc., right? So that is the use case of useRef. Let's catch up in the next video on the next React hook. See you there. Bye.